I like that. That is funny, Eddie. That is funny. Here is, I'm not going to go through all the details. I'll save it for you. Let me just read you, I'm going to read you a paragraph for Jimmy Roberts. Now, we all know that Jimmy Roberts is a pretty classy guy, right? I don't think anybody's going to sit there and say that Jimmy's not is not a good guy. Well, if there was a moment at the 2000 U.S. Open when Tiger, in the morning, with an 8-stroke lead on Saturday, used terrible language. The language that he used early in the day was he hit a bad shot. It was at 8 a.m. on the West Coast. He stepped on the 18th tee with an 8-stroke lead. Then he hooked his tee shot into Carmel Bay. And he says terrible words. The GD, you, blanking, you. Tiger barked. NBC's microphones picked up the outburst. Johnny Miller had nothing to say. No commentary necessary. Mark Wolfring had nothing to say. Well, to make a long story short, Jimmy Roberts was covering that event for NBC. And after the scenario, obviously Jimmy has to approach him after the day when he's got like a 9-stroke lead. So Jimmy goes to Tiger and he says, look, I've got to ask you about what happened on 18. The smile instantly fell from Tiger's face. He had just finished a remarkable round of golf and was on target to win the U.S. Open by a record margin. And Roberts wanted to talk about a 4-letter word? Seriously? Virtually everyone in the Pro Tour, including some of the journalists who covered it, used similar language, but they didn't have microphones, as Butch Harmon said, shoved up their ass all the time. Roiled, Tiger didn't say any of this to Roberts. Instead, he gave him a death stare, and he was close to Roberts up until this point. Roberts did not understand the pushback. From his perspective, the question would give Tiger an opportunity to apologize for a slip-up and acknowledge that he was so competitive that he sometimes lost his temper. Well, to make a long story short, obviously Tiger does the interview with NBC following, and he did relatively say this. Yeah, I got a little angry. I kind of let the emotions get the better of myself. I hit a bad shot. I was trying to hit a nice little straight ball out there, and I hit a pull hook, and I guess I got a little upset. I'm sorry I did get upset, but I think anyone in that situation will get a little perturbed to themselves. Unfortunately, I let my voice out, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Next, the final day, Tiger wins the tournament by 10 strokes. All right? As he made his way to the trophy presentation, off the 18th green, NBC cut to a commercial. Jimmy Roberts was standing by. In what would be, to that point, the most visible piece of television in his career, he was doing the trophy presentation. Millions would be tuning in. Seconds before Roberts was to go on the air, that jerk Harmon, that's me saying that, Harmon grabbed him by the arm. What are you trying to prove, he says. Why in the blank are you asking these questions? Harmon was still furious over the previous day interview with Tiger about the on-air cursing. That's bull blank, Harmon told him. We thought you were a friend, from Butch Harmon. Roberts was shaken. Holy cow, he said to himself. What was that all about? Jimmy Roberts apparently became one of Tiger's enemy journalists. Now, I am going to read you another paragraph from Roberts, and this is very interesting. Let me make sure I get the right page. This is Roberts at, Bay Hill. I would say probably maybe about a couple of years later when Roberts had to talk to him at Bay Hill. And let me make sure I get that for you properly, which is important because, okay, I've thought a lot about him over the years because we've had serious ups and downs. This is from Roberts in 2016. There's more blank you in Tiger Woods than any athlete I've ever covered. In those days, it felt like a one-way street with him. He demanded respect, but wasn't willing to offer any in return. He burns with hate towards people that he feels have wronged him or are not on his side. That's a quote from Jimmy Roberts, who, by the way, I know very well. Excellent, excellent guy. Excellent. Let me read you one thing about Jordan. All right? Tiger, who loved Jordan. Tiger's view of Jordan wasn't universally shared by the working class in Las Vegas. They found him to be an aloof, arrogant star who embraced the word entitled with a capital E. You didn't have to travel far to find stories of Jordan's barely tipping, stiffing caddies, locker room attendants, car dealers, bartenders, or of his driving his tricked-out North Carolina blue golf cart down the middle of a fairway at Shadow Creek, music blaring as he blew by one foursome after another while yelling, "Hurry the blank up. You guy are as slow as blank." In the words of one Vegas insider, a complete blanking, you know what, blank hole. Jordan. That's what you get in this book. And don't sit there and tell me that I'm looking for the negatives. I have sat there since 1982, bought tickets, watched in awe, did nothing but praise him on and on and on my whole life about Michael Jordan. Who's talked about Jordan and LeBron more than me? Nobody. You telling me I'm not allowed to read that about Jordan? We knew he was a jerk. All we had to do was listen to the Hall of Fame speech in Springfield a couple of years ago. But that takes the cake. If Jordan has a problem with it, let him sue Benedict or Catania. Buy this book. Do yourself a favor. 11 after the hour. We continue. Mad Dog.